So let's talk about how we can classify these stakeholders beyond just internal and external, right? This is the analysis portion. This is the meat and potatoes of today's session. So you have, say, 20 different stakeholders that you've listed. You have names, you have titles, you have teams, right? Whatever that party looks like, you have these stakeholders listed out. Now, what you want to do is put them on this chart on a relative basis, right? There is no absolute zero or absolute like 100%, but on a relative basis, you want to get an idea of how influential each of these stakeholders are, right? How much of a say do they have when it comes to decision making, right? How much sway do they have within the organization in general? Remember what I said in the beginning, your ability to manage stakeholders directly determines how impactful you are within the organization. Well, that involves getting to know the people that are influential and getting on their good side, right? Building out trust, a relationship with them. And when you do that and you have an ask, they fulfill that ask a lot sooner and it helps make everything else more frictionless. So influence is really important to keep in mind when it comes to stakeholders, because the higher influence they are, the more important or the more attention they should be getting from you. And then the other variable to think about is interest. How interested are they in the work that you're doing, in the project that you're working on? Because if they aren't interested at all, when it comes to communication, you don't want to bombard them with emails and updates. They don't care that much about the scope, the budget, and the timeline. But they're really interested. Well, then, yeah, absolutely. You want to outline expectations of how you're going to be communicating, how often you're communicating, through which channels, and then you want to follow through on that, right? Especially when it comes to the folks that are influential and highly interested. This would be this green rectangle, the manage closely bucket. They get the bulk of your attention. They are the ones that you absolutely cannot and should not ignore. One, they're influential, but two, because they're so invested. When it comes to decisions, they're in the room with you. When it comes to issues that are coming up, they are one of the first ones to be like, they should know from the get-go, right? Not because, hey, I need help, please fix this for me, but just FYI, something is happening here and I don't want you to be blindsided by it later on. That would be a reason for them to be unhappy. So if there is a regular meeting in place, they're going to be involved with that. Anything related to issues, decision making, they're involved with that. And absolutely, when it comes to those communications, right? When you're giving them information, they're going to be the ones that are receiving the most detail, right? Whereas someone that is influential, but they're not that interested, you want to keep them satisfied. Just do enough to keep them happy. So for them, instead of a push relationship where you're giving out information, it's probably more of a pull relationship. You might, for example, set up a dashboard. And in that dashboard are all the key performance indicators, all the metrics you would want to track as part of the project. Are we in the green or in the red? You don't have to tell them, they can check on their own, right? And if they have any questions, they come to you. But absolutely, you don't ignore them just because they're disinterested. But you just do what you need to keep them satisfied, keep them happy, keep that trust nice and high. Now let's talk about the folks that you want to keep informed. They aren't very influential when it comes to decision making. They're not really part of it, and they might have opinions. You can always hear them out, but all you really have to do with them is outline clear expectations for how you're going to be communicating, right? And then keep them in the loop, right? To varying levels of detail, right? The ones that get the most detail will always be those within the manage closely category. And then finally, folks that are of low interest, like they don't really care much about the project, it doesn't impact them too much, but they are still impacted by it, right? They're affected by it as a stakeholder and they aren't influential. Well, you just want to keep an eye on them. You want to monitor them. You want to make sure that you don't forget they exist. But as far as energy goes, as far as time goes, they don't receive too much of it. So this is how you would categorize your stakeholders. Put them on a relative basis, figure out your maximum. Who is your most influential? Put them at the top. And nobody can go beyond that. Who is your least influential stakeholder? Put them at the bottom. Figure out who is the least interested, who is the most interested, and then from there, figure out where these people are, and then you'll figure out your communication strategy from there. Because you shouldn't just be sending weekly emails to absolutely everyone with the same kind of content. You do want to personalize these things so that the folks that aren't too interested, they aren't getting annoyed by it. They aren't starting to send your stuff to spam.